So as it turns out, hip and pelvic pain is really common, and unfortunately for us, many patients have symptoms that are somewhat protean. So they've got lower back, posterior hip and buttock pain, and that area is kind of a no man's land in terms of specific etiologies. We've had a spine clinic at UCLA now for about 6 years. It's composed of neuroradiologists like myself and interventional neuroradiologists. And we function side by side with anesthesia and physical medicine and rehab that have their own independent pain programs. But the reason that our program has been quite successful and continues to really grow by leaps and bounds is because we have a handle on the imaging. We understand the imaging. So when we see the patients in the clinic, we can correlate their clinical symptoms to the physical exam, and to a really good analysis of the imaging. And that's something that they don't have. They rely on the radiologist, and that's where you can play a very important role in helping them to understand where the patient's pain might be coming from. So I always emphasize to our fellows and trainees, whenever possible, look at the report, look at the way you structure the report of the lumbar spine or a pelvic MRI with nerve imaging, for instance, from the perspective of a clinician, and try to put things together. So if there's a scoliosis and there's asymmetric disc space height loss at one level, try to tie those concepts together rather than listing them as separate entities that maybe would appear to be unrelated, but in fact one has led to the other, and because of that now you have asymmetric neuroforaminal narrowing, et cetera, et cetera. So think about it organically, and that's kind of the approach that we've taken. There are many common causes of hip pain. You can have degeneration of the bony joint. You can have labral cartilaginous injuries. Enthesopathies, which is the insertion of a muscle into a bone in the absence of a tendon. You just have the muscle fibers going directly into the bone. The enthesis can become inflamed. And just like you get a shin splint when you've been running for a while, that pain in the anterior shin, you can get that same exact kind of pain at the level of these pelvic girdle muscles, the gluteal muscles and other muscles that insert directly into bone that become inflamed and be quite painful. And these can be confusing because most of us think of pain coming from the low back or the pelvis as coming from a disc, from a joint. But frequently it's not. It's coming from the muscle or a muscle insertion. So a muscle itself can be injured. It can have a hematoma. It can be inflamed. You can have tendinopathies, enthesopathies. There are numerous bony lesions, fractures, particularly in the elderly. These fractures can be insidious and may arise without any inciting event whatsoever. They don't recall a fall. They don't recall a trauma. The bone just breaks. Hardware failure is another cause. For pelvic pain, there are many different common causes which can be confusing, and because these cross different specialties in medicine, sometimes these patients will languish for many months or sometimes even years without a diagnosis or the proper treatment. And this is where we as radiologists can really play an important role. So pelvic pain can arise from infection, endometriosis, pelvic trauma or surgery, birth trauma, cystoceles, rectoceles, grade 4 tears with vaginal births, GI disorders, piriformis syndrome, pudendal neuritis, soft tissue and bony tumors, pelvic floor disorders, somatization and psychiatric conditions can also be a source of pain for both men and women. So we'll touch on some of these as they